Okay, so it's the end of a good day's ride on these little babies over here. Talk to me. Talk to me.
So we've got nostalgia versus contemporary.
Yeah.
4-stroke versus 2-stroke. You came from a very different background, didn't you? You had your 4-wheeled experience. Didn't start bikes till very late.
Yeah.
Whereas I was sort of brought up on 2-strokes, motocross as a kid, and as soon as I was 16, got on a 2-stroke, got on a scooter, got on a moped, 50cc, onto 125s.
So you were one of those pricks who used to ride round like a town centre, just going.
Yeah. But it kept me off the streets-ish, didn't it? Yeah.
So we've been evaluating the KTM RC125 and the older, now discontinued, Aprilia RS125. Come on, I've got a lot to say on this, so okay, go on. I'll let you go first.
For me, at that age, it's all about 2-strokes. I love the sound, I love the noise, I love the. Let's bury it. Let's talk about this particular bike though. This RS125 is tuned to the nuts. It's within an inch of its life, and it does well over 100 miles an hour, and there's a lot of work gone into it. So it's definitely not standard. It's just way more interesting. But it's very much hard work. It doesn't pull from low down. You've got to get it to 7-8 grand before it even starts working properly. And it's it is an utter pain in the arse, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, and I know you said earlier we come from different generations. I'm the generation that wants to go and buy something that just works and makes my life easier. And I'd prefer to spend my time on the road enjoying it rather than fettling to make that experience on the road sharper. So for me, I prefer to just get on the bike, go, enjoy, and kind of fanny around as much as I do anyway in faff. But that Aprilia for me is it's too much hard work. Unless you're on it, like pinned, you've got to have the confidence it's going to go around the corner properly. For me, I was constantly in the wrong gear because there's no power, then there's loads of power for a 125 obviously, and it's just you've really got to learn to ride that bike as it should be ridden. Whereas the KTM, just got on it and instantly felt comfortable. It felt like a bigger bike. It felt like it was, it felt like the chassis was supple, but yet stiff. And that's kind of what you want from a 125 because you need to go around corners faster because you can't, you don't have the power to cover up mistakes. And I think that's, for me, what's come out of the day is, riding these 125s. It can still be a fun experience, even for people who have ridden superbikes all their lives, because you learn to make sure you do the corner correctly. Because one little tap on the rev limiter, your mate sods off into the distance.
Yeah. Even on a 125.
Even on a 125. Yeah. And I think lots of people could learn from going down several classes and actually learning the ropes again. Back to basics, absolutely. And that was a standout thing for me. So, Aprilia.
The Aprilia is a race bike for the road, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
There's nothing. The engine is purely simple race. I mean, the stock bike is it's slightly better, but you still have to rev it. Whereas the Aprilia, the KTM, it's all 12, 15 horsepower of it. It's linear.
Yeah. But
that doesn't really mean much, does it? Because you've really got to stretch.
And to be fair, it was, it is very flat.
Yeah.
Like it is very flat. There's not much. I didn't notice much difference between 5th and 6th gear. No. It was just like, and you really kind of
tucked right in,
tucked right in. But in a way, it was kind of fun. I still enjoyed it. And I mean, I'm 6'4" and I weigh 14 stone, and we still travelled around all day on it. Absolutely fine.
It's a brilliant bike. It feels like a big bike, doesn't it? It's got that big bike handling, and it's very, very neutral. It steers beautifully, doesn't it? I mean, within 2 corners, we were both knee down, hamming it up.
Yeah.
Like a hero.
Pumping fists in the air, fisting each other. Yeah. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by all accounts, the 390, which we're going to have a look at soon as well, is the same chassis as that, but with a little more power. And I think that's going to be a good test as well. But yeah, I mean, for me, all day long, back to this test now.
But what about the noise, though? What about the noise of that Aprilia?
Do you know what? It's one of those things where it's great if you're the one making the noise, but everyone else around you is irritated by it. And following you, I've got a load of smoke in my face, I got like like a little buzzing, like all over the place. So I think it's one of those things. It's the same with a superbike with a nice exhaust. If you're riding it, you think, oh, I sound amazing. But most people sat in their offices or listening to you go up and down the road think, who's that dickhead? So it's subjective. It's subjective.
Exactly.
I do like the smell of it for 5 minutes. Walking down, stand on the corner of a road, like a plum, in really bright leathers. People think I'm some kind of marshal. Marshal Matters. Here we go, here he comes. Oh, we got a race on. Honda Civic Type R.
It's quite interesting, although the Aprilia essentially is quite a complex bike with the two-stroke tuning and everything else. It's got an arrow exhaust. It's got some nice bits on it, including that lovely carbon clutch lever.
Oh yeah, the faux carbon.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
KTM likewise. There's no traction control. There's ABS, which is pretty damn useful in the wet, and when you're trying to stop suddenly. I mean, it's not a performance
No.
aid, obviously, but
No, but it activated going around this go-kart track, and I was so thankful I was on the KTM. Because I mean, I know we're only going, 20, 30 miles an hour around, not even that, around most of this place, but just knowing you've got that safety net going into that corner, which has got slippery go-kart splurge all over the floor. And I was just like, yeah, I can outbrake. I know I could outbrake you. Even though I didn't. So, I mean, there's no comparison. What about you?
I'm going for nostalgia. I'm leaning towards nostalgia, but like you said, it is more hassle than it's worth. Pulling away, the KTM leaves it.
Yeah.
In that first 50 meters perhaps.
Yeah, maybe a little under that, 30 or so, until that power band kicks in.
And it's very, it deserves an ASBO. It is antisocial. But, I do love it. Then again, let's talk modern day needs and wants and rideability and flexibility, and the KTM has it all. It's still fun. The handling shocked me. It really does. It can carry corner speed.
Especially swapping from one to the other. It's really noticeable. Really noticeable. And the KTM isn't set up to be as racy as the Aprilia, but for me, I could go faster on the KTM all day long.
I think 99% of people will go faster on the KTM.
Yeah.
What about looks?
Again, for me, I think the KTM looks awesome. I think it's a bit unfair because we're testing an older bike. Design trends were slightly different almost 10 years ago. Well, 8 years ago now.
But this bike was only discontinued last year, so.
And it looked exactly the same. Yeah. Well, I think the KTM looks, even now, just looking at this on the camera, all day long, KTM looks cool, looks stealthy. Personally, I really like it. It's something different. It's not like, we're just going to put two headlights on it and some fairing and it all mould together and at the same. And in fact, I'm actually going to go and record a little bits of this bike because there's a few bits that I love about it. Namely, this unit here, this whole part is the pillion seat, and all of it is made of squishy foam. Yet, when you leave it alone, it looks absolutely part of the bike, so it's functional and looks awesome. I love it. I love the way that the airbox round here, like it's layered. They've approached it from a different perspective, and that's what I like. I mean, yeah, this is going to divide opinion, its face, but I think it's awesome, and it's got little, we all have LEDs these days, don't we? Look at that. So, for me, sitting next to this, it just looks old, and it is old, and I'm not going to criticise it for being old, but all day long, this money.
Yes.
What is it? 4.5 grand?
Yes.
Something around that.
I'll put that on the information bar.
It's this much money. Yeah. So how much would a good example of the Aprilia be?
Around £1,500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So less than a third of the bike of the KTM.
But have no doubt, because I don't know if we've spoken about it, an outright pace, no doubt at all, that two-stroke is faster everywhere.
Yeah.
On the road, round this circuit, terrifying as it was, the Aprilia is definitely the quicker bike. However, for me, it's not worth it. If you want to get a quicker bike, I just concentrate on passing my test and get the 390 KTM.
Probably long term, you're probably better off having the KTM anyway, because the fuel consumption will be drastically better than that Aprilia.
And not forgetting, you don't have to carry around oil with you, all that stuff if you run out.
Or a van to pick it up when it breaks down.
I mean, the gear lever has already fallen off as well.
Yeah.
So we've got to fix that before we go home. Sorry, Will. But all in all, brilliant day. And I just think, from my perspective, it's just been great to go back to hooning round, full beans, full chat, trying to get every inch you can out of these little bikes. And I recommend it to everyone. Yay!